Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the January Historic Preservation Commission meeting, and thank you for joining us today. My name is John Milner, and I'm chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. Typical of HP, we have a very full agenda today, and it's always our goal to get everyone out of here in a timely manner. As a reminder, please limit individual conversations during the meeting. This ensures commission members and applicants can hear one another. Please remain quiet until you are called upon. When you speak at the podium, please state your name and address for our records. Before the commission votes on each item, I will ask if any members of the public wish to speak. Speakers are given 3 minutes to relay information to commission members. Please be thorough, but also mindful of our time. The agenda and documents for today's meeting are located on the PrimeGov site. If you're following along online, select Agenda on the right side of the Historic Preservation Commission meeting to see items being discussed. Written comments received more than 24 hours before today's meeting are posted online and were shared with the commission members. At this point, new materials may not be shared with the commission. So if you brought handouts, examples with you, please keep them at your seat as we cannot accept and review. I repeat, we cannot accept new information to review in today's meeting that was not submitted previously. Keith, will you please call roll?
Milner.
Present.
Jordan.
Present.
McBride. Hoare.
Present.
Whitley.
Present.
McCoy.
Thank you. Procedures for today's meeting are noted in the agenda. For anyone unfamiliar with the process, please refer to the procedure section. There are 2 items we'd like to note specifically regarding this meeting process. These items involve certificates of appropriateness and appeals. Certificates of appropriateness, after an application is approved and the 10-day protest period expired, the Historic Preservation Officer will mail the certificate of appropriateness to the applicant. City construction permits cannot be issued until the CA is issued. Please contact HP staff for final design review, inspection, or to withdraw items that will not be completed. For the appeal to Board of Adjustments, any person aggrieved by a decision granting or denying a certificate of appropriateness may appeal to the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustments. All appeals shall be made within 10 days of the commission decision by filing a written notice of appeal with the clerk of the Board of Adjustments. Katie, any news from the Office of Historic Preservation?
The only thing I wanted to report is that Rita Douglas Talley, who's been our attorney for HP for as long as I've been here just about, has retired. She very quietly sneaked out on us into the happiness of retirement. So she'll be very missed. And welcome Susan today, who may or may not continue to do HP, but she's here today. So that's all I have.
Susan, welcome. Yeah, I know, Rita's out. I already got to apologize to Susan. I'm going to at some point turn around and say, Rita? So, Susan, we're glad you're here. Thank you. Have commissioners had a chance to review the minutes from the December 3rd meeting? And if so, do we have any questions or perhaps a motion to accept or modify?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, we've got a motion to accept. Do we have a second? I'll second. We've got a second. Commissioners, please vote in PrimeGov. Okay, the minutes have been accepted. Katie, anything from code enforcement?
Nothing specific to report. As always, the code enforcement report is attached in your packet. If you see an item on there that you have questions about, feel free to reach out to HP staff or contact the Action Center.
Okay, do we have any continuance announcements or requests?
No continuance requests on the agenda and no new requests received since the agenda has been published.
Okay, we don't have anything under public hearings for dilapidated structures or National Register nominations. That takes us to the consent docket. We have 6 items on the consent docket. We can review those individually or pull any out, unless we have comment or questions from commissioners on that. If not, we can.
Do we need to ask the public? Is there anything?
Any members of the public that wish to speak on any items on the consent docket today?
I'll motion to approve the consent docket.
We've got a motion to
Second.
approve the items on the consent docket, and we have a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Items on the consent docket have been approved. If you were on the consent docket, congratulations, your project is approved. You have the option to stick around for the remainder of the meeting or head out. That takes us into items for individual consideration. We've got 11, so let's get started with HPCA-25-00068 at 531 Northwest 36th Terrace. Katie, tell us about this project.
This is in Crown Heights, Ward 2, consideration and possible action on application by Gary Randolph, Randolph Design and Build, for Chris Gilchrist for certificate of appropriateness to 1 construct addition, including greenhouse, covered patio, and garage. This application has been before the commission twice previously. You've approved all other items that you saw on the previous application, so we're down to just the addition at this time. No changes have been made to the proposed addition from what has been seen by the commission before. The applicant has submitted additional information regarding the calculation of the square footage for the different spaces within the proposed addition. That was part of the discussion the last time. There have been other comments from the commission and in the staff report related to some design components of the proposed application. Those have not gotten quite as much attention as the square footage, but we wanted to make sure that that was still addressed if it needs to be addressed, if any commission members have concerns about any of those elements. But this is their last hearing. They've been heard twice, so this is number 3. We have to either approve or deny the application. You have a recommendation for both of those options, to approve with conditions and unique circumstances, or to deny, depending on how the commission views the case today.
Thank you, Katie. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Christopher Gilchrist, 531 Northwest 36th Terrace, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73118.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And what would you like to tell us about this project?
So the last 2 meetings, there's been discussions about a myriad of things. All were approved last meeting except for the square footage and the overall footprint of the home. We submitted further information. Including the addition, the new footprint of the home is less than 30% of the total property size, which in Crown Heights, that's less than the average footprint per as a percent of the square, or as a percent of the property for the neighborhood. The addition is over by 104 or 106 square feet. I forget which one. But that's 4% of the total addition that we're requesting. So we'd like the potential for consideration for approval with exception, given the small amount that it's over.
Thank you. Commissioners, what questions do you have?
I had a quick question for staff. If Katie, if y'all could clarify which window spacing you're asking to be modified?
The east elevation is lacking in windows at the first and second floor, making the single window at the second floor into a pair, and or adding 1 or more windows at the first floor might increase compatibility.
Sorry, it's at the east elevation, and you're saying on these bottom windows, you would like them to be, on the ground level, you would like them to be?
Sorry, let me scroll to the actual
Okay.
elevation. Sorry. Adding a window at the bottom, I guess at 1 or both floors, just on that east elevation at the rear portion of the addition, there's no windows on that side of the house. So to add windows there.
Oh, sorry, I was there. One of them is
there's two,
mislabeled.
there's 2 elevations that are
Okay,
labeled
I was like,
east.
there's so many windows on this
Yeah, I
elevation.
think we've got some mislabeled direction.
Okay, I
confusion
almost
here.
need to rehear that. Okay, no, this makes sense now.
Yeah, the
thank
side
you.
with the garage.
Okay, got it, I'm with you. Thoughts from the applicant? I think staff is recommending approval with a couple of conditions, that being one of them.
And the condition was, I'm sorry.
Windows needed on the east elevation, there are none. So they're asking for, did you say a pair of windows at
I think it
ground
might
level?
actually be the west elevation. It's the side of the
think
house
it's
that the
west with
garage
the
is on.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it says east elevation for both sides on the plan
it's
set.
so west, yeah.
Okay. Okay,
So yeah, it looks like on the second floor, that space is a closet and a bathroom. On the first floor, that space is part of the garage. expansion with furnace, et cetera. And it is set in from the garage, but it is on the side of the house, especially the second floor, that will be somewhat visible. So getting some windows in that wall on that portion would be helpful.
Sure. So for the west elevation, match what we're doing on the east elevation, the size windows? Is that what I'm
Yeah, I would say
hearing?
the same size, same
Sure.
proportion, and either a single or pair, whatever fits in that
Okay.
space appropriately.
Okay.
Okay, that was one condition. I think there was one more. 1 second. Oh, porch roof, which we did speak about this last month, but it admittedly got a little bit lost in some of the other concerns. Is our concern the depth of that porch? Broadly, like just broadly, it's the scale of the porch
It's
and the
the
roof?
scale, and if I share my screen here, you can see that the eaves on the garage addition to one side and the sunroom greenhouse addition to the other side, the eave line of the roof is below the roof of the patio, which makes that patio roof feel out of scale and maybe unnecessarily tall. It looks like it's well above the height of the door and the windows, so if that could come down to be in line with that eave.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So the roof of the back porch, since it comes down, do you want the middle of it to align or the sides align? Do you
I
want the
think I'm
lowest point
talking
of the
about
roof to
the
align?
edge of the roof, like
Okay.
the fascia.
Okay.
You still be able to get enough flow for drainage?
I don't think we would change the pitch. Would we change the pitch?
Okay,
You just shift it all down.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Sounds like the applicant is pretty agreeable. Anybody else?
Commissioners, any other questions for the applicant? Do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? There being none, commissioners, do we have a motion for this item?
I will motion to approve HPCA 25-00068 with the specific findings, unique circumstances, and agreed upon conditions noted in the staff report.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve. Do we have a second? I'll second. We've got a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. That item has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, next up, we have HPCA-25-00106 at 300 Northwest 18th Street. Katie, tell us about this project.
This is in Heritage Hills, Ward 6, consideration and possible action on application by Mike Lee for Deborah Clark for certificate of appropriateness to 1, replace fence elective. Staff has recommended approval of this with the condition that the height be reduced to no more than 6 feet. It's proposed at a height that is greater than what the guidelines support.
Okay, is the applicant present? Hi there, and if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Mike Lee, I'm representing Mrs. Clark at 300 Northwest 18th.
Okay. Okay, and do you have any comments?
Yeah,
staff report.
bear with me. Oh, sorry.
No, go right ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
So we've been fencing since 2008. So what I did to, sorry if I'm nervous. I drove within a block radius, and I have several addresses that have 8-foot tall fences. So, and they're capped and trimmed also. And then there's probably a second part of that deal where she's wanting to put an iron insert. So I have several addresses with the insert that she wants to put in that matches somebody else's porch. And then there's also some modern, so there's a variation on what she can or can't get approved on the iron. But another deal is when you're standing in her backyard, that fence is 2 foot lower. So she's technically only have a 4-foot fence from her driveway view. So she can literally see over. And she's an elderly lady, probably in her 70s, 80s. So she's just worried about security because of the vagrants and everything becoming more common in that area. Running down 23rd Street.
So I know that we have run into this a few times with houses with grades like that.
And I've found several that are like 10 to 12 feet tall.
Yeah, we usually, I feel that typically, maybe not usually, typically handled them with a retaining wall plus a fence, but somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, versus a variance for a taller fence.
Could she just do the 8 foot since she has neighbors that have 8 foot? There's a brand new one like a block over.
I would personally identify that as a unique circumstance and issue, move for an approval on it just because I'm familiar with how those grade changes are. And yes, it's really awkward to sit in your backyard and see over a full height fence out into the street. But
Just to make sure that, that I understand, that the commission understands. So what I'm looking at is, it looks like, let me share this image, that the
It'll be
slope
that
of the yard slopes down toward the
Right.
street, and that while that fence in that location is 6 feet from within the yard, it's 2 feet lower than,
Yeah, so where the iron gate is, that is 2 foot from, plus or minus, from the edge of the corner where it runs north and south. If you look further back, there's a brick fence that's higher up on the neighboring property, but she's lower. She can't go any further into the property because she has those set of trees. And then I have one example that's 8 foot tall, and you could tell it's been here 20 years. I don't know if you guys want to pull that address
yeah,
up.
there's definitely several on those north-south streets on the corner lots.
Is the existing fence 6 foot or is it 8 foot?
Say it again.
The existing fence, is it 6 or 8?
Sorry. Say it again.
The existing fence that's there now that you're trying to replace, is that 6
Yes,
feet?
that one is 6 foot, yes.
Okay.
The new one she wants is 8. So she has a neighbor two houses to the west that has one behind her to the southwest. Within a block radius, I found 4 or 5, so I didn't go further than that. And
Yeah,
then-
there are several.
and there was one that you could tell was just recently put in the last month.
so in the staff report, we have that the proposal is for a 6 foot 8 inch fence. Is that not accurate? She wants an 8 foot fence?
She wants an 8 foot. That's 6 foot there. Her iron fence is 6 foot also.
But you're not replacing the iron fence?
No, she wants to keep that transition straight. So technically, from the iron fence to the north and south run, or the east fence would be horizontally straight until it gets to there, then it'll be 8 foot, which it comes out to about 8 foot running north and south. So there won't be a taper going down the driveway. That driveway slopes almost 2 foot down.
Right, so are you leveling the slope then?
No,
To keep
just
the fence
Just the
straight?
fence. The fence will be straight, but the pickets will touch the ground.
So the fence will
Yeah,
get
it'll
progressively
get taller
taller
at the
as it goes
bottom.
down and
Yes.
stay flat at the top. Okay.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I'm so sorry, I'm not seeing, is the whole thing, I don't think it is, but is the whole thing meant to be iron?
No, she just
okay.
wants the wood part.
I'm just not seeing a picture of the materials for the wood.
Submitted to the gentleman.
Is it just like this?
Yeah, pretty much,
Okay.
90%. It's cedar with a cap and
Okay.
trim and October.
So are those just rectangular iron inserts?
Yeah, so assume you got 8 foot section, 8 foot section, 8 foot section. Every alternating section, just the top 2 feet will be a window style iron, which 80% of the fences have a brick fence with some kind of iron on it. Everybody has some kind of iron on top of their fence here. And
Do we have many that are cedar with iron on top?
the only one I could find was a lattice. There was one with a lattice, but nothing with iron. So I was assuming, this is me assuming, that if it's brick, it's a fence. Just cedar
Yeah.
being a product.
Yeah, I think we see more masonry that have the iron components, and
Yes.
then on wood fences.
She can't afford
typically
the
there's-
masonry part, so
yeah,
that's why.
there's the-
Yeah,
What is the size of that iron insert?
2 by 4, 2 by 6.
2 by 6.
I could definitely get there on the height of the fence because I've seen that issue quite a bit, and I identify with wanting to have a private backyard if you're going to the trouble of having a big fence like that. I don't love the iron inserts. I feel like they detract kind of quite a bit from the way those lots normally run along the street. Like it's a little
he
distracting and
provide-
noisy for me.
Did he provide the drawing of that?
Yes.
They have it in
Thank
their
you.
packet.
Okay.
I would probably just prefer the 8-foot cedar fence with no iron detail other than what's already existing.
If that gets denied, can she do lattice? You do have a,
I mean, you can apply for anything.
Okay.
It would just be coming back up
Yeah.
here, you know,
Okay.
editing these and
gotcha.
submitting it again.
I mean, does that not defeat the privacy purpose that she's?
do
So
what?
does the insert not defeat
I'm
the
not-
purpose of privacy that she's
The
applying
iron-
for with the?
Iron she wanted to incorporate because you guys have, she has a neighbor that has that same kind of pattern, and she has iron fence, so she was just trying to make a smooth transition where it just doesn't look so, she's on a corner lot, she wants the curb appeal. She doesn't just want it to be just a solid, normal, typical fence, if that makes sense. So that's why she's trying to alternate the wood, iron, but only from the top portion where it's security-wise where nobody can crawl through it or anything, but it just still has a see-through appeal. I think she submitted a drawing, or we submitted a drawing of the iron.
Yeah, we have it in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't ever tell who's talking. I'm like looking at her.
Yeah, we should have little lights. Yeah, like I said, I think it would take a lot for me to get on board with something patterned like that. I think it's pretty distracting, and it's going to be, the scale of it's going to be pretty large, and it's going to be super visible. I would rather see continuity and have a cedar fence the whole way, but I am on board with the proposed height, just due to the nature of those lots and desire to, you know, capture more green space and have more privacy.
Is it the iron design, or is it the iron just in general?
For me, it's in general. I mean, if it were masonry and iron, but I
So if
understand.
it's masonry and iron, you're good?
I mean, I personally would be on board with it, yes. I think it'd be really beautiful there and really appropriate, but I understand all of the reasons. I don't have one either, so I understand the, you know, desire to go with cedar. I just, for me, don't like the patterning of the
Yeah,
cedar.
the only one I saw that was cedar had lattice, but the 90% of the other ones was masonry with iron.
Yeah,
insert.
I think, you know, typically cedar is a little bit more humble in design, and so amplifying that by adding the ironworks is distracting.
Okay.
We do have comments from the neighborhood, and I saw that Marva moved up. Would she like to make some comments, or?
Marva Ellard, 1521 North Chartel Avenue. I think it is a huge problem to start having 8-foot fences on public right-of-ways, along sidewalks, in fronts of houses. In reality, they have over an 8-foot fence because of the rise on the side of the house the way it is, and putting 8 feet on top of that. If you're a pedestrian walking by, you've got this 10, 11-foot thing over your head, and it's not very neighborly, and it's not very attractive in my mind. I think our neighborhoods were built with shorter fences when they were built for a reason, so people would be neighbors and not create little fortresses. And to me, a 6-foot fence is perfectly adequate in that situation. And we would ask that the commission, seems like somewhere in the ordinance it talks about 6-foot fences and a possible 8-foot fence at the back of a property line. And this is not at the back of a property line.
Yeah, I
you.
will just add that I think staff was under the impression that they were asking for an additional 8 inches, not an additional 2 feet. I'm a little concerned about going all the way to 8 feet on the street side. Yes, there is a slope there, but we have lots of yards that, basically all of our yards slope down to the sidewalk. That's a pretty common condition. And maybe a grade change warrants a little bit of increased height, maybe some lattice on top of a shorter fence is warranted, but I'm inclined to agree with the neighborhood comments that going to 8 feet on our neighborhood streets along the sidewalk is something that we should consider very carefully.
You know, I can't recall Harvey off the top of my head, but definitely on Lee and on Walker, there are several that are 10 feet that are retaining walls. I mean, it's, you know, there are instances in which that occurs in the neighborhood.
401 19th Street, it has an 8-foot fence, and you can tell it's 20-plus years old. It's on a
Katie,
street view.
I thought that we had approved a couple of these on Robinson to be
And there are several, like
this
you said,
height
10
because
foot.
of that kind of weird. Of course, that's a little more transitional because the one I'm thinking of is at 21st and Robinson, I think. But
Angela, do you have a comment?
I just want to remind you that those stockade fences that are in place are non-historic features. And these are features that came into play in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, prior to the guidelines and standards, at which time the guidelines and standards introduced the concept of reducing those fences so that the historic properties become more visible, both in placement and in height. Most of the extraordinarily tall fences that are in place were placed there prior to guidelines and standards. And so, yes, we do see those in place. Yes, they appear to be very old. Yes, sometimes it is approved that they be replaced, but staff would administratively approve a 6-foot-tall fence of wood and metal combination without ever bringing that to you, whereas anything that doesn't meet the guidelines and standards is something that you have to comment on.
So Angela, if what he's proposing, the combination of the iron and the wood was 6 foot, that would be fine if it met the height.
We would have the ability to
Okay.
administratively approve that, yes.
Okay. And just to make sure I'm understanding, where on the picture on the screen, where the wreath is and the iron gate, that is remaining,
Correct.
and the height of that is not changing?
No, correct. It'll be 6 foot at that point, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So the brick that are 10 to 12 feet tall, not to contest this though, is that not taken into consideration when they said they were trying to preserve?
well, that's kind of was actually one of my next questions.
Because
I
those
wasn't
are new.
speaking to the stockade fences. I was speaking to the brick fences or the stucco or the retaining walls that are the ones that kind of hover right at the sidewalk that are original to the property. But you know, kind of here nor there. Sounds like no matter how you slice it, we're looking for a little reduction in height, and we don't love the ornamentation.
Okay. The 8 inches, whoever mentioned that, can we agree on 12 since there's a neighbor that has a 7-foot fence?
They actually did not even want you to have the 8-inch in the staff report, so maybe some more details on the fence and a couple of options for proposed heights that might become a happy medium for your client and this commission.
And we're okay submitting a couple options. We can address both if one's denied.
Yeah, you can, there's 2 options.
She's been
We
waiting
can,
3 or 4
you
months.
can work with staff, we can work towards some things that might be administratively approvable, and then we can also work with you on documenting some alternatives and what to provide to show why you think that would be appropriate in this location. And maybe we can get some more detailed drawings that show that taper down to the street and the height in comparison to the fence, to the neighboring fence, that sort of thing. But yeah, reach out to staff after the meeting and we'll work with you on something for the next round.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so it
Thank
sounds
you.
like we're going to make a motion to continue this item.
So just meet
Yeah,
next
so
month,
when,
right?
help me, because I haven't looked at the calendar yet. We need to find out which one you want to continue, what commission here you want to continue that to.
February 4th or March, is it 7th?
Because if it's February 4th, you've got to have new materials by next Tuesday?
Yes, so we can continue to February 4th, but you would need to turn in any new documentation by January 13th, or we can continue to March 4th, and that would give you another month to work on some
I
alternatives.
think February 4th will be fine. She's been waiting 4 months, so I'm going to try to.
Okay, February 4th, you
Yeah.
said? Okay.
Okay, commissioners, do we have a motion to continue this item to the February meeting?
I will make a motion to continue HPCA 2500106 to the February 4th meeting.
Okay, we've got a motion to continue. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we've got a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. That item has been continued. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have HPCA-25-00115 at 827 Northwest 17th Street.
This, this property is located in, got lost, in Mestre Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application by Holly Hunt, HJH Design for Taylor Vogt Clover LLC for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct 2-story accessory structure, elective, 2, construct 1-story garage, elective, 3, install fence and gate, elective, 4, remove, replace, and reconfigure concrete drives and sidewalks, elective, and 5, request recommendation to the Board of Adjustment on a variance to the minimum separation between buildings. This is an application the commission has seen once previously, and I will note that the applicant has submitted an alternative site plan and garage design that would not require that variance. So if that is a preferred option, then they wouldn't need the variance, they wouldn't need the recommendation. But other than that alternative to the design, it's roughly the same as what the commission saw previously. It's a 2-story accessory building in the approximate location of a historic accessory structure that has been demolished, and then a 450 square foot 2-car, 1-story garage on the opposite corner of the site in the approximate location of a previously existing non-historic accessory building. Staff has remains concerned that the mass and scale and overall size and proportion of these 2 structures in combination at this site is in excess of what's appropriate for the site and what's consistent with the guidelines. This is one that you all have seen before and that we have discussed at length before, so I won't elaborate beyond that, but we've recommended a continuance and would want to see, based on staff's comments in the staff report, significant changes as part of another review of this application.
Katie, thank you. And the applicant is present?
Yes, hello, Holly Hunt, 513 Northwest 82nd Circle. I know this is a doozy, guys. It's not lost on me at all. But, my job is to try to help this client who's come to me kind of replace these structures that were previously demolished. And, from reading the staff report, it's clear to me that the staff is supportive of the garage. It's supportive of replacing the 2-story structure. The problem is the 2 occurring on the same site. And, I'd first of all just want to establish that 2-story structure, we've gone back and forth. I am certain this was never, ever, ever used as parking. Proof of that is you can see on the site plan that there's no room for a driveway. It's clearly elevated above the alley, so it would have never been approached that way. And further proof being that at some point in the property's history, they built this second accessory structure for the purpose of parking a car. That being that non-conforming 1-story garage. But these 2 buildings have existed on this site for over 70 years. So whether was there in the Sanborn maps in 1910 or not, it has existed this way for many, many, many years. So parking is an issue here. That's why we see these awful carports that were placed, sometime in the course of the history of this property. We feel that a 450 square foot garage that all the other neighbors are able to build, even when there's not one currently present, is more in keeping with the guidelines intent than the alternative, which would be a carport. Furthermore, other than raising the second plate height slightly on that 2-story structure, we are very closely approximating that structure. The footprint, in fact, we are reducing the footprint just to keep it within our property lines. Currently, it actually encroaches into the alleyway, so we'd be correcting that. But again, that 1-story structure, in this picture right here, you can see that that foundation is still there. It was certainly present, but we couldn't rebuild that structure in that location even if we wanted to. It doesn't conform with subdivision and zoning standards and regulations. So, I just personally, this property has no parking whatsoever. It doesn't. We need to try to figure out how to create that on this site. So I've worked with Katie, I've worked with Thad Johnson, and in planning, we've come up with lots of different layouts to try to get the garage both into compliance, orienting it off of the alleyway, making sure that its door doesn't open onto the property line. Since the garage doesn't count towards our parking, we've also pushed it into the lot enough to provide 2 parking spaces, which are required. And then thank you, Katie, for bringing up the alternate site plan that I provided. This was just an attempt to show you all that even if a variance isn't possible, don't let that deter you from being able to approve 2 buildings on this site, because we can come up with a design that does meet the 6-foot separation distance. To me, it's not as advantageous because we can't, with that narrower facade, north facade, it's hard to get 2 doors to fit in there, 2 individual doors rather than 1 single overhead door. Although, you know, if you're amenable, I think we could probably get away with like a 7.5-foot door and do some compact spaces there in the garage and still meet the 6-foot separation requirement. So again, just to recap, it's really about just trying to reclaim and replace structures that were already there while reasonably expanding the garage to the 450 guideline requirement. I'd love to hear some feedback. I know we're moving to a continuance here, but I need to get that feedback to know what we can do to make everybody happy, as well as and real quick before I hand it over, the purpose of that PowerPoint presentation was just to show again the incredibly unique circumstances of this block, given that curved alleyway. I mean, all of these properties are squunched together. There's buildings sitting and encroaching on the property lines. The county assessor actually shows this building, the main building, is encroaching on the property line, which that's not according to our survey. We're inside the property line, but you know, it's just the nature of this area. Everything's really tight, everything's compact. It's on the back side of the lot. Go ahead.
Can I go ahead and start?
Yes.
Responding to a few of your, so I think for me, the issue is, you said it, there's not enough parking on the site, and yet you're trying to add another accessory building, which is gonna require more parking. I think if you incorporated a parking garage, well, then you're replacing it, but if you wanted to add a parking garage, put a accessory like unit on top, and you can, you know, have another unit and still incorporate some parking, but still have some permeability on the site. I think that, I mean, putting both is just a lot.
To that point, though, because of the layout of this site, we can't access that parking space without drastically changing the historic layout of the backyard and the lot itself.
I mean, it's been drastically changed. Like, we are not looking at something original. We were looking at one of those houses that we kind of joke and call Frankenstein houses. Like, nobody knows what this looked like exactly when and how it existed in its many iterations. But I mean, I think the bottom line is, like, I can't see any, I should, never say never. I can't see any scenario in which this commission approves 2 buildings on that site. And there's nothing in the guidelines that tells us we have to. There's nothing that makes me think we would ever get overruled on that. I mean, I can't understand also how the lot coverage is only 54%. That makes absolutely no sense to me looking at this. But I mean, we just made this recommendation to some people in the same neighborhood last month or month before last on a corner lot, wanting a 2-story garage, wanting more parking. We said move it to the back of the lot and get a driveway. I mean, I know it's not ideal, but certainly also none of this that's proposed is ideal. Mm-hmm. It's just too much. I mean, it will never be a yes for me.
What about a 1-car garage rather than 2?
2 buildings will never be a yes for me.
Even though that's existed on this lot 70,
it's not
80
original.
years.
I mean, it's just, there's no justification other than, what we have been told is that this is wanting to be a home share or have multiple renters or whatever. Like, that's the only justification for wanting all of this. I mean, there are so many other homes in the neighborhood that it's like we tell people on this commission all of the time. And I mean, I hear you, this isn't your house. I know that this is your job to get this done. But we tell people all the time, like, well, okay, did you know there was no parking when you bought it? Did you know there were 4 bedrooms when you bought it? Like, this is just an egregious example of that playing out over 5 years. I mean, there was this amount of parking or less when he acquired it. There is street parking. There's not a thing in the world that tells you can't street park in Mesta Park. I mean, you can park overnight. You could, in theory, take up 2 blocks for your own personal household. There's nothing to tell you you can't. There's just no practical justification for doing this to that site.
Well, I think my whole thinking is like, these are 2 structures that we're trying to replace. And the guidelines do allow for an expansion of the garage up to the 450, even a new garage when one didn't currently exist.
We would love a 450 square foot garage if you just want to, you know, apply for one of those. We'd rubber stamp you.
That building has been there since 1910, that 2-story structure that we're approximating very, very closely.
So why do you need another structure?
Because that's not a building for parking. It was always used as a dwelling.
Make it a 2-story garage.
Like a servant's quarters house.
I mean, apply for a 2-story garage. We just saw that on actually 1 block exactly down from this, the White House on the corner.
I realize we can do that. Yeah, it's not lost on me. It's just when I look at this, that keeping that as a secondary dwelling space, even though we can't call it that and we're not, but historically from 1910, that's always been that way. That building has always been used for, you know, servants' quarters or some type of storage and all of that. That's why they built the second accessory structure, because they had no garage.
Right, but if his needs have changed to desire parking over, you know, 27 people in the house at once, I would say he should prioritize parking.
I want to ask if any other commissioners have questions for the applicant on this one, because I'd like to ask if we have any members of the
I'd love to hear
public.
from this side. Come on.
There's
Come on,
comments from the
Commissioner Whitley.
neighborhood.
Help me.
I mean, I agree with Commissioner Jordan. I just can't see a world where we approve 2 structures on the site. I think the 2-story garage or 2-story structure could be a garage with dwelling or office space or whatever above it. Yeah, it's a lot of structures on.
So to me, that's a real departure from the historic nature, but if you all are telling me that you would approve such a drastic change to make this into a garage, even though it has never been, that to me is something I want to hear specifically.
People change
That's
their
not a
historic
drastic
garages
change.
into other uses all the time. They've been converted into pool houses and offices. That's not
okay.
unheard of.
I don't see that as a drastic change whatsoever, especially compared to what's been done to the back half of this lot.
Yeah, it's also a corner lot too, which always gets more scrutiny and has
Yes.
tougher rules.
That's killing us, yeah. I get
And
that.
we're in that, you know, kind of same weird position we found ourselves in on the last corner lot in Mesta, in which, you know, they've got 6 feet between the sidewalk and their garage door, and they're going to block the sidewalk if they park there. And I understand all the arguments he's made over the years about there were 2 buildings here and there were this, that, and the other, but the reality is none of that was ever appropriate for right there. And anytime we get a chance to rectify something and put it back to an appropriate use, that's going to be our number 1 choice.
Understood, yeah. I have a question maybe just for staff. So say we just do the 2-story structure. I don't think he would want to do parking in there. Is a carport allowed in this situation? Perhaps on the corner, similar to where I showed the parking spaces, would a carport be allowed? I mean, we see them in this area, so I just wanted to ask.
So we don't have guidelines specifically for carports. We review them like other accessory structures. So it would be about whether or not it's appropriate, whether or not it can be made to be minimally visible. I will say we've approved some carports. They've typically been in the rear yard tucked behind a house, not out at the street on a corner lot like this. And I think from what I'm hearing here, it would be hard to convince the commission to support a carport when you're building a brand new 2-story accessory building and choosing voluntarily not to provide parking within that building.
I guess
There's
our
just not
thinking was just to approximate the historic condition, which was more of a non-parking structure.
We do have
I will just continue to say that the Sanborn maps consistently call it an auto house, and that up through 2021, there was a driveway from Francis into the backyard that would have accessed a garage if this looks like.
Stay right there. Can you go back?
This looks like all of the carriage houses we have all over the neighborhood, and yes, it's been modified, it's had vinyl siding placed on it, but I still believe that it would have originally been built to function as some sort of auto garage or carriage house based on the design of the building.
That picture, and Keith, will you be sure and send me all these photos? Some of these I'm seeing for the first time. I mean, to me, this looks like a board that was nailed on to create a carport. It doesn't, there's no evidence to me of like a beam that was an overhead door location.
Holly, I'm gonna
I guess
actually-
we're just going to
Holly-
have to continue.
Yeah, hold on, just say though, we had some comments from citizens. Do we have anybody in the public that wish to speak on this item? Yeah, please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Andy Sullivan. I live at 915 Northwest 17th since 1976. Neighbor.
Bet he can tell us the history then.
Yeah, it's your 50-year anniversary.
Thank you for hearing me. I mean, this has been an ongoing battle for us, the neighbors. I'm here on behalf of the houses that surround him. If you could go back to that one picture from the facade that shows, keep going. There's another one. No, well, okay, well, back one. That one right there. So, I mean, I've discussed this with Mr. Volk, and we went over there and looked at it. He gave me all the reasons that this is totally impossible. If you look to the east, there's a perfectly flat parking surface, okay? My understanding, I'm not an engineer, was he could put the same thing in there, but it would require excavating some of his own property to get it down to the level where it's level. Approaching it from the west side will be difficult because there's a steep slope there. I'm not certain about the two-story structure. That's up to you all in terms of historic. A garage is, I understand, it could be helpful if some of his renters would use it, but because of street parking, but otherwise, we would be opposed to this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other comments or questions on this item?
No. What date do you want to extend it to, Holly?
Let's go to March, please. March would be
4th.
preferred.
I will make a motion to extend HPCA 2500115 to the March 4th meeting.
Okay, we've got a motion to continue this to the March meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners.
We've got a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Okay, this item has been continued to the March Commission hearing. Next up, we have HPCA-25-00119 at 441 Northwest 29th Street. Katie, tell us about this project.
This is in Jefferson Park, Ward 2, consideration and possible action on application by Malaika Khan, Maka LLC, for certificate of appropriateness to 1, remove all wood siding and components elective, and 2, replace all wood veneer components with LP SmartSide elective. I believe this has been heard by the commission previously as well. I'm not sure if the applicant has been present for those. Staff's concern with this is that we, first of all, don't have adequate documentation that the siding and wood components need to be replaced. We typically ask for that when we're looking at especially total replacement of all wood siding. And then the guidelines do not support the use of any siding products other than wood siding on historic structures. So we've recommended continuance on this application.
Okay, is the applicant present?
Malaika Khan,
Okay, and state your address.
17109 Wales Green Avenue,
Okay,
Edmond,
and
Oklahoma.
Tell us about this project.
So the wood paneling that's up there now is deteriorating. It's peeling or falling off, and there's been a lot of holes in the property. We've had to temporarily cover up the holes to prevent any wind, rain, or ice that might be coming to affect the interior of the property. So we saw that the SmartSide LP material can't be approved, which is completely fine. We're just wondering if there's any recommendations on what material we can use, as well as color recommendations.
Great. Well, we don't care what color you paint it. I mean, we might care, but siding, we don't monitor color choices. So you can paint it stripe for all it really matters for these guidelines. You never know. But the only thing the guidelines support is just a replacement of wood siding. So while certainly you are welcome to use your continuances to ask for another material and bring us, unique circumstances or documentation or anything else, the only thing that is actually supported is a replacement in kind. And to do that or anything else, we would need a lot more documentation about the condition of the existing wood and why it couldn't be scraped and repainted and saved and so on.
Commissioners, any other questions?
The one thing I will add is that it should be smooth wood rather than textured.
What was that? Sorry.
Should be smooth wood rather than textured.
Smooth wood, you said? Okay. And we are now planning to do this project either at the end of 2026 or beginning of 2027. So would we need to resubmit an application, or can we just edit the materials that we're using at that time?
Yeah, Katie, this is.
Yeah, so first, if we get documentation, additional documentation of the condition of the siding and the other wood components to justify replacement, and if you're going to do the replacement with wood in kind, then that can be approved by staff.
Okay.
Once that's approved, it's effective for a year. So you might just think about, we could continue this for 2 months and give you that time to work toward getting that documentation pulled together for an administrative approval. And then depending on where you're at and when you think you would do the project, kind of figure out what's the right date to go ahead and get that approval done. And we also have the ability to do an extension on a CA if you've started work and not completed that yet and our work still, need more time.
Okay, great, thank you.
Do you want to continue that? Should we, what would that be, March?
Be March 4th.
Okay, will that work for you?
Yes.
Okay, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? There being none, do we have a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue HPCA 25-00119 to the March 4th meeting.
I will second.
Okay, we've got a motion to continue in a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Okay, that item has been continued. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have HPCA-25-00126 at 523 Northwest 18th Street.
This is Mesta Park, Ward 6, consideration and possible action on application by Fallon Brooks Magnus, Jolly-Bird Design for Sarah Farzana, Sapphire Estates for certificate of appropriateness to item 2, construct new 2-story garage elective, and item 9, install rear gate elective. And the commission did previously approve the removal of an accessory building at this site. The commission has seen this application twice previously, so at this meeting we have to either approve or deny. The applicant has submitted a revised kind of option for the design that goes to a 1.5 story, although it looked like, so there's a requirement that that wall from the floor to where it meets the roof is no more than 3 feet, and I think it shows it as 4 feet. So that doesn't meet the 1.5 story definition. It's still a little taller than it should be. And in addition to that, it's just still significantly over on the square footage of what the guidelines support for a new garage. So I think you have a staff recommendation for denial just simply because we're out of continuances at this point.
Okay, and the applicant is present.
Yes, Fallon Brooks Magnus, Jolly-Bird Design, 11 Northeast 11th Street, representing the applicant.
Okay.
So we did provide as an alternative plan with a 1/2 story. It is only a couple of feet shorter than the 2-story version because we changed the roof pitch to be able to get a usable space under the roof line. So height difference is not much. As far as the 4 foot versus 3 foot, in my head I want to say it's 4, but I could be wrong by a foot. So I looked at it on the fly and chose a number. So if I might be off by a foot. We're still not significantly shorter than a 2-story. That's our argument. That's why we included the 2-story in this application again, because we want to talk about it. We want to talk about the differences. Originally when we had been told to come back, some of the commissioners that were here that had made suggestions on what we could do were not here the next meeting, and so we kind of felt like we didn't get to continue that conversation. So that's why we've provided more of those. I don't know what we're looking at right now, sorry. Anyways, does anyone have any questions for me? I would like to discuss it.
I don't have any questions, really. I appreciate the effort at the getting it to a 1.5 story. It's still a little too tall, to Katie's point, but I know that was a big request from us. I mean, my only thing is, it just, don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily equating it to the last one, but one statement I made in that last discussion was like, it's just kind of like more and more and more. Like, there's a lot of special requests in here. There's a lot of findings in here. It feels like we're like, okay, we want it bigger, and we want it, you know, bigger than code, taller than code, and we want the carport. So to me, it's a matter of prioritizing just what the most important thing is. Sorry, I don't know what that was. You know, whether the most important thing is a super generous footprint, or if it's the height, or if it's the third spot.
So I can address all of those. So the footprint was one thing we talked about last month, and because these are the garage units downstairs are for the separate units in the main building, there's a wall down the middle, so that increases the width a little bit. It also increases the width a little bit because we need more room in those single bays to get car doors open, that sort of thing. Plus we have a stairwell on the side, so our footprint is naturally going to be above what it would be anyway, for those reasons alone. I think the footprint as it is without the carport is about as small as it's going to get.
What is the footprint? I'm sorry if you know it off the top of your head.
I don't have it in
I know
front of
it's
me.
in here. I can
I'll pull
look
it
too.
up.
It is 645 square feet
Okay.
without the carport.
Okay. Without the stairs, what would that be, just for perspective? Trying to think through what, you know, comparing it to a.
The
Yeah.
stairs are basically 100 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
I was kind of thinking that there could be a world where we do the 2-car garage with a stair on the outside and no carport. Like, I feel like for me, that would be enough of a compromise to maybe make the 1.5 story work. But that's just me.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? I
Sorry.
didn't catch the first part of it, so.
That if, you know, we didn't have the carport and the stair was an exterior stair, so that would shrink your footprint, reduce your lot coverage, that there, yeah, it could be a world where we're okay with the, or at least I would be okay with the 1.5 story.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a creative way to get some of the footprint out of there, for sure. I know it's obviously really nice when you have an interior staircase, but if that is a priority, I mean, again, I think it's just a matter of like, we're asking for 3, I can get there in the unique
Sure.
circumstances easily because of the weird conglomeration of, you know, buildings that have existed in that backyard over the course of the past 100 years. So for me, I understand why, like, maybe you're just pitching for a blank slate. But there are 3 like reasonably big concessions that y'all are asking for.
Sure. Again, we've gone over the footprint on the street. We are considerably smaller than the average on the street. We have a lot of multifamily buildings on the north side of the block, which is why we have so many that are larger. We're well below those. The stair, I mean, I guess I can't really understand why 100 square feet for a stair is a problem when the stair still has to exist anyway. Why not build a wall around the outside
It's
of it?
not really a problem for me, but if you're
Okay.
trying to push something through that, like, you know,
Well,
we're really
then
nickeling
maybe-
and diming on.
Sure,
it's,
then maybe
you know.
we don't talk about the footprint, because we've had this conversation a bunch of times on a lot of projects about the footprint being slightly over. I think that we're
Yeah.
fairly reasonable in that regard. I think the real contingency, the real point that we want to harp on is the height here. That's the 1.5
For me, it's
versus
weirdly
2
the
stories.
carport, but I think I'm in the minority.
Oh, okay. So and the carport is a completely separate issue. We haven't gotten there yet. That's, I'm really just the footprint.
I
to me
think
is,
we got really close on the height with the shrinking it a little bit, and if it could shrink a little bit more, I know that it's not, I know it's not supported by the guidelines in this moment. Again, because of the, because the buildings in this backyard have existed as many different things over many different years, it's kind of tricky to say what you could or couldn't do there. And so if I'm just looking at this, especially since it was built as a single family residence, like I could get behind a bigger garage with a unique circumstance. But for me, like one of the 3 things kind of has to go. Because it's just a lot. Those are not big lots right there. It's not a really generous block, you know.
I'll let you talk.
Are you saying a 2-story or a 1.5-story?
I think that the design of the 1.5-story looks a little more inferior to the property. So I would go with that one. I know it's not tremendously shorter, but when we're really pushing boundaries as it is, I think every couple of feet is really important.
Well,
and I think
and
it's
it
a pretty
feels-
design.
And it feels shorter when, you know, the eave of your roof is 10 feet shorter than it was before when
Yeah.
it was all
We've
two-story.
removed a lot of massing.
Yeah, it tricks you into thinking that it's
Correct.
shorter basically than it is, but it helps with the feel.
Vahid Farzana here. Thank you all so much.
And your address? Address?
Oh, 525 Northwest 18th. We live, just to recap, we live right next door to this property. So we bought it. Originally, it was an Airbnb. I mean, I was not a fan of living next to an Airbnb, so it got off the market. We're fixing it up, making it look real good. And I'll do a quick recap of the back. There's 2 separate structures there that were maybe not original, but they're pretty bad shape, obviously. You guys are approved to demo it. And then we are keeping under, I think I looked at every property and I averaged it for that back alleyway. It was roughly 600 and some change square feet. So we're trying to stay within that guidelines, and we're using it only for personal use. We're not trying to get a permit to do a rental or anything like that. It's just for personal use. So Sarah, you had mentioned 2 of the 3. I can't see what you're looking at. I assume you have both plans in front of you, which is one's a 1.5, one's a 2-story.
Yes.
If we would work best, I like the 2-story one minus the carport, because I do think the 2-story looks way better. It has other benefits as well, like with attic and less leak with the roof line, less maintenance. I think it just looks much better. Now, that doesn't make too much of a difference because you won't be able to see it because the house is so big in front of it. But I'm just saying that would be our preferred, would be the 2-story, no carport, if that's something we could maybe make a motion to potentially vote on.
Fallon, or Vahid, you may know this too. How many square feet do you think it's adding to have I understand this is a duplex now, but if I said one reason I could get behind it is because it was built as a single family and it's pretty substantially sized. If we were removing that interior wall, separating, trying to create those 2 separate tenant spaces.
Oh, for the garage?
10 square feet?
So not much.
It's not too much, but it adds up. Plus a stairwell.
Anybody else?
I'm just thinking, Katie, remind me, is this the last time this application can come before
Yes.
this current one?
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, we can get rid of the carport completely, and yeah, I mean, that.
I'm not making concessions for you.
Yeah.
I'll let you tell them what you are willing to do and not do.
There
For
are
sure.
comments
Definitely
on
willing to do
Muska
that.
Park. Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
Yeah, no, we do have comments from the neighborhood. Do we have any citizens that wish to speak on this item? There being none.
To the question about the difference that the wall makes, it looks like the width of the garage minus the stair is about 25 feet. Typical width for a 2-car garage, we usually see maybe more like 22 feet, so it would maybe shave 22, 24 feet. So yeah, taking that center wall out, aside from the enclosed stair versus not an enclosed stair, taking that center wall out doesn't make a
Doesn't
huge
do a lot.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't love
50
the
to 60
idea of
square
having
feet.
the exterior stairs. I think it's kind of attractive to people in the alley. I don't love that personally, so would not ask for that myself, but
I do agree with that. And then if it were to rain, or
Do you
I guess
have
we,
the packet pulled up?
I do. Let's see if I can find the packet real quick. Sorry, y'all. This one right here.
Yeah.
Which one are you
there
looking
it is. Perfect. I just wanted to see some dimensions real quick. So I can-
While they're looking, what I will just say is that as we keep seeing applications for kind of different types of things with new garages. In this case, we do have Sanborn maps through 1955 that show a modestly sized one-story garage in the rear corner of the property. And yes, over time, it seems that various other little accessory buildings were added, but for what we know of the historic condition, it would have had a one-story garage. There are some adjacent two-story garages on the block. The predominant characteristic at single-family homes on the block appears to be one-story garages, and then there's some multifamily at the other end of the block on the opposite side of the block that have larger two-story garages. But our kind of predominant pattern is a one-story, typical sized garage. Some of them are up in the 500s instead of 450.
I think the largest one's like 920 something on the corner, northwest of the corner. But
Yeah, that northwest corner has 800 and something, 900 and something square foot garages, but those are at what have historically been, I think, fourplexes. So you're kind of getting a different built form there. So I'm just saying that to say that staff has recommended denial. We have findings that support a denial. If we approve something that's not consistent with that, we would want unique circumstances to be articulated, explaining why in this case a larger garage and a two-story garage is appropriate.
Katie, do we have any records indicating what year this became a duplex? Well, really multifamily because of the strange little dwellings in the backyard at some point. I was just thinking about that as relevant to the one-car garage at some point.
On the 1949 Sanborn map, it is described as flats,
Let me
which
ask you a
means
question.
multiple units.
Marva, I saw you move forward. Do you want to speak? Yes. Yep. Come right up. Yeah, let's go ahead.
I wasn't going to speak because it's a Mesta case and I like Fallon, but we've got several garages, so I'm going to. I think we're unnecessarily making some of these decisions harder on ourselves by not reading the ordinance and going by what the ordinance says. If we want to change our opinion on how we treat garages, then we need to change. Everything doesn't need to be an exception or a special circumstance or whatever we want to call it. And that is, I think, leads to confusion with applicants and with the neighborhood on, well, I did what the ordinance said. I applied for a one-story garage to replace my falling down one-story garage, and my neighbor across the street is building a 2,000 square foot pool house that's 2 stories tall. You know, and so I don't think that we've got a level playing field and people can't predict what they should do and what they shouldn't do. I'm not talking about Fallon's case. I'm not talking about anything in particular. We have an ordinance, and I think we need to try to adhere to it. If we don't like what it says about garages, then let's change it, but let's try to be consistent.
Yeah, and I definitely think we're, in this case, trying to figure out what these unique circumstances are. And the concern I have is this is their last appearance with this application. And I don't think any of us are ready to just outright approve it. But we can't have alterations done and rely on staff to fulfill our wishes. We would need to see those back again. So I'm sorry, I really think the avenue here is it's got to be denied without prejudice.
Oh, no, please don't do that. I have a compromise I can offer. We'll do the half-story one, the 1.5, no carport. And we'll take a foot out of the width because we'll remove that wall, and it means we don't need as much room between the doors and all of that. So we're reducing the footprint, no carport. I did check the definition of a half story. It's 3 feet. I don't know where I was that day. I thought 4. If you'll let us leave that at 4 and pretend it's a half story, we'll take a foot out of it and call it good. Can we please do that?
Why don't you want to shrink it from 4 to 3?
Just head height on the interior. We already know how much that is because I designed it, so I know what all the dimensions on the interior are. So that's just the only reason.
I was really feeling that proposal up until that point.
Up until that point. We can go to 3 feet if we need to.
For me, there is a justifiable unique circumstance, and it is because of the alterations in the backyard. I may be in the minority on that one, but for me, I'm also a fan of people getting parkable garages because I have kids out on the street. So I love it when people actually can park in the garages, and I really want to make that happen.
Yeah.
So for me, if it was 1.5 story and it was parkable and it was no carport, I would get there because I don't love the congestion of telling everybody, hey, park all of your cars on the street while my kids are biking and people are trying to walk and enjoy and this, that, and the other. Sure. But I may be not the majority, I'm not sure. Anybody down there?
Well, I guess where I'm just trying to figure out is if we're redesigning this, how does this get they can't come back?
Well, it would be an agreed upon condition.
Yeah, and I think, so that is a condition of eliminate the carport, go with the 1.5 story design, remove the wall from the center. I would want us to specify interior or exterior stairs because that adds to the footprint. But I understand the comments about enclosed stairs versus stairs exposed to the elements, although we have those all over the place. All of those are things that, I mean, we pretty much have in what's been submitted, and they're very clear, and staff can work with the applicant on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioners, any other comments?
Somebody down there on the left, any opinions, questions?
I had one question.
Sure.
Are you using 4-inch studs on the exterior wall?
4-inch, yes.
Yeah, I guess I was wondering why your stair was wider than is code required. Because it says it's 4'4" from the inside face of the stair to the exterior wall. So if you've got like a 6-inch wall thickness, once you add your sheathing and your siding, then that's what, a 3'8" stair?
It's 4 inch. It's 4 feet face to face on the interior of the stair.
Okay.
And code minimum is 3 feet. I mean, we can reduce it. 4 feet is just, it feels nicer to walk up and you can carry things up. And, if this is an attic space above a garage, there's probably likely going to be some things stored up there. A narrow stairway trying to move furniture and things up is why. So we could maybe not a full foot, but 3'6". We could reduce it if we need to.
I mean, I would say like your best bet to get it approved today is to reduce anywhere you can reduce, because we are like granting a lot of special circumstances here.
So then we'll change that condition to we will take 2 feet out of the overall width of the structure.
Okay.
That makes the most sense. And if we want to reallocate some of that to the stairwell to keep the width, then we can do that.
Okay.
But we'll take 2 feet overall out.
I think that's a great compromise for me. Anybody mind if I make a motion? Please. I think it's going to be a long one. Okay, hold on. Let me find your item numbers. For some reason, my pages aren't loading, so I'm really sorry that it's kind of taking me a minute today. HPCA 25-00126. I recommend approval on items how do I do this since there's 2 proposals in here? Is it the agreed upon condition that we use this 1.5 story? Okay. Items 2 and 9, with the agreed upon conditions that we are going with the plan identified as the 1.5 story proposal, that the height is dropped by a foot, that the width is dropped by 2 feet, and that the carport is removed from the plan entirely. Is that works? Everything?
Commissioner,
With the special, what's the unique circumstance?
Oh, I'm sorry. With the unique circumstance that due to the changes on this lot throughout the past, 100 years, there's not currently a clear indication of what would have been the original appropriate parking situation, and that we want you to be able to use a garage to park.
Just to be clear, before we finish this motion, so there's no carport. Is the parking space and the gate still okay? Like, that's all different items that were not discussed. So is the only item in this motion the garage itself?
The gate was included, items 2 and 9.
So it's just 2 and 9.
And I think the think the paving is all fine because that's all at grade and not visible from
Okay, I just want
anywhere.
to clarify that
Yeah.
taking the carport off does not
Yeah,
mean
I think that
losing
we
a
have
parking spot.
approved that on several instances in the alleys. I mean, it's at grade, so we don't
Yeah.
really see it.
Why not?
Okay, so we
Was
have...
that what you were going to say? Oh,
Okay, thank you.
great minds.
We've got a motion to approve with conditions. Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Okay, that item is approved with conditions. Thank you.
Hey, Chairman, can I address Marva's comments? I do want to acknowledge your comments, and I want to say that we are working on looking at the guidelines. There's a small group of us in all of our free time to examine and see how we can better incorporate so we're not implementing special, unique circumstances every time. So that will be coming. Please be patient with us. We are working on it.
Yes,
Is
stay tuned
literally
for
on the
neighborhood
radar.
outreach about them.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have HPCA-25-00139 at 326 Northwest 15th Street. Katie, tell us about this project.
This is in Heritage Hills, Ward 6, consideration and possible action on application by Nancy Chestnut, Posh Pools, for James and Miranda Grant for a certificate of appropriateness to 1, install pool with mechanical equipment, concrete decking, and concrete pad elective, and 2, excavate and install artificial turf elective. The commission does not have clear guidelines on the use of artificial turf specifically, so we have this before you today. I want to note that the artificial turf is proposed just in the area surrounding the pool, and then the portion of the yard to the side of the pool will remain regular sod, grass. So you have a recommendation to continue if you wanted to see changes to that proposal, and you also have an option to approve the application as proposed.
Katie, thank you. Is the applicant present?
Miranda Grant.
Okay.
James Grant,
And your address?
326 Northwest 15th Street.
Okay, thank you. Okay, tell us about the project.
As discussed, it's an installation of a 480 square foot swimming pool in the backyard. The swimming pool would be partially surrounded by permeable synthetic grass, which would be a total of 725 square feet, with concrete decking totaling 225 square feet. So the increase in total impermeable area would be 4% of the property, which is 705 feet. And the total property dimensions are 17,000 square feet. Yeah, and that's the basics of it. I think you guys all have everything else, and happy to answer any questions or provide reasoning on our design or anything the commission may have for us.
Hey, commissioners, what questions do you have or comments?
I don't really have any, actually. We all know I don't normally love turf, but turf as a pool surround to me is as appropriate as anything that's going to be a pool surround. So when I initially reviewed the packet, I did think that the whole thing was turf, which would obviously present a bigger drainage problem than just a pool surround. So, but it's definitely not. So no questions from me.
Yeah, something to just mention on the drainage is we're very sensitive to that, and have addressed some drainage issues with in the backyard. So our property and the surrounding area is actually the highest topographic area in all of Heritage Hills, which benefits it from a drainage standpoint, and the permeability of the soil in our area from is terrible. It's clay. So the addition of the turf around the pool with extra water actually is designed to help the drainage, not preclude further drainage.
Okay, we do have some comments from the neighborhood. Do we have anybody that wishes to speak on this item from the public? There was just a couple items in there. I am curious about the screening of equipment that was mentioned in is that pool equipment that neighborhood is referencing?
Yeah, it's in the staff report too, but it's under
Got
a
it.
specific finding stating
Got
that
it.
it will
Okay.
be screened. I didn't know if that was meant to be an agreed upon condition or if you are seeing where it is screened.
Yeah, where the pool equipment is in the back corner of the lot. There's 2 flower beds, so that you will not be seeing that.
Yeah, in the image we're looking at, if you were to walk in the driveway and look right, it would be way in the corner. It's not visible from anywhere, but we are going to have landscaping around it too.
Yeah, they have a
Because
render
we
of
don't
it
want to look
that
at
shows
it
it.
ourselves.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know if in the staff report, it feels like that was meant to be a condition, not a finding, but just maybe because the way it was referenced in the neighborhood comments versus the staff report, I was a little confused, but yeah, I mean, you're not
Katie,
gonna
do
be
you
able to
have
see it
any?
from any public right of way anyway, so.
Double checking.
Okay. Thanks for clarification.
Yeah, so on that image, if you look where the red dot is, it's in the southwest corner is where the pool equipment will be located, so it won't be visible from anybody but us inside. But again, we're going to cover it up with landscaping because that's part of the plan.
So is the turf being installed on top of soil?
I'm sorry?
The turf, is that being installed on top of soil?
Yes.
It's soil and rock. In the plans, I mean, it's professionally grade.
Yeah,
Sure, just a
there's-
lot of people put it over concrete. So
Oh, no.
that's what I
Oh,
wanted to
No,
clarify.
there's
No, it's in
permeable
here somewhere.
substrate below it and then soil below that. So there'll be turf with some higher permeability substrate on top of the soil, no concrete below the.
Okay, it's dimensioned on page 7, Caitlin.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, and I think Daryl worked on this one, it says in the staff report that the pool equipment, mechanical equipment will be screened by landscaping. Is that, will it be screened by landscaping, or was that a request that it be screened by landscaping?
I think it will be.
It's just
It
that
will, I mean, whether it is needed or not needed, there is going to be a landscape. I mean, we don't want to visibly see the pool equipment, so.
You don't? Why don't we just make it an agreed upon condition so that it's clear with regard to the 2 different uses of that, if nobody else has any.
It seems to show that it's screened and it's behind a fence and
Yeah.
there's landscaping in front
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Behind a 2.5.
Definitely not
foot
seen
wall.
from the right of way, regardless.
Hey, Commissioners, any other questions, or we have a motion on this item?
I will motion to approve HPCA 25-00139 with the specific findings in the staff report, and just for clarity's sake, the agreed upon condition that the equipment's going to be screened by landscaping.
We've got a motion to approve with conditions. Do we have a second? We've got a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. That item has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have HPCA-25-00145 at 2925 North Harvey Parkway.
This is in Jefferson Park, Ward 2, consideration and possible action on application by Tyler Lawler for certificate of appropriateness to item 1, remove storm windows required, and item 2, replace all windows required. This is a property where these storm windows have already been removed, and then in addition to that, windows have been removed and replaced with vinyl windows. This is the first time for the commission to see this item, and we, I think, have recommended a continuance just to give the applicant, to give the commission time to provide feedback and give the applicant time to consider options.
Okay, thank you. And the applicant is present?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Tyler Lawler, 440 Northwest 22nd Street, Oklahoma City.
Okay, thank you. And tell us about this project.
I purchased this property in the summer. I just fell in love with it, put an offer in the same day it was listed. It's a little 2-bed, 1-bath, but the location's perfect for my aging father who's a widower. So the plan is for him to move in the next coming years. Truth be told, I got the cart above the front of the horse because I didn't really realize it was in a historical preservation area. I did have the best interest for the property and wanting to update it. It'll be painted in the next 2 months, so it'll look much better. So in terms of the windows, there's 26 of them, which I feel like for a property this size is considerably large. And I did not change any of the window sizes or anything, but I did not adhere to the guidelines because I wasn't aware of such guidelines at the time. So I asked for grace and any insight on how to proceed.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, what questions do you have or comments on this one?
Hate these because I believe you that you didn't know that, and I hate that. There's no good outcome on these. I don't know what the solution is here. I know what the guidelines tell us the solution is. I also know that realistically and financially, that's completely impractical for almost everybody who would ever be in this position. So
Yeah, these are always tough because the windows are in and guidelines do not support them.
I think, we've said this over and over again, but like this is another clear example of why the city and the neighborhoods need to do a better job of educating and making sure people are aware on the front end, because, oftentimes through the best of intentions, we have a really bad situation. And, unless you're one of those people who's just oddly chiming into public TV to watch this, you may not hear us say that on repeat right now. So I don't know. I never think that the intent of HP is to put a financial burden on somebody, so I hate the thought of doing that, but I do understand the significance of the changes.
Is there a way to, again, it's not ideal, but put what would be historic in the front, and the maybe front visible side windows?
Like those two banks and those two?
And require that as a middle ground to visually make it meet the requirements from the street view.
Can we pan out, can you show us a few pictures on the street? It looks so visible from right there, and I'm just kind of curious. Okay. It looks really exposed in that angle, like you could see it from blocks away. Yeah, this one stinks. It's pretty visible.
And it's always amazing how small some of these houses, how many windows they can have for such a small house. I can relate to that personally. So,
and I did in good faith try to keep the existing windows, and I had to consult even before not knowing it's historical, and they weren't salvageable. So there's no question they had to be replaced.
Yeah, I think another issue is just, obviously you know this now, but that we wouldn't recommend this material for replacement even if they needed to be replaced.
And I'm assuming all the original they're gone, right? I mean, they were
correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
I would personally, I don't think there's probably anything definitive to be done today. I would personally probably like to revisit this in maybe even March to brainstorm and try to figure out some sort of solution for this.
Yeah, I think that it might be worth, if the applicant is willing to pursue it, to look at whether there would be an option to find a more accurate replacement product for the windows in the most prominent visible locations, and for the applicant to consider whether that's something that he'd be willing to do. And then from there, the commission could review that, could consider whether there's a unique circumstance to be identified related to the windows on the remainder of the house. But yeah, I think probably need more time for the applicant to look at window alternatives as far as products, and consider what he's willing to commit himself to. A certificate of appropriateness is good for a year.
Okay.
And you can get an extension beyond that. So it's not something that we would say you've got to go out and do it tomorrow, but we could continue this to the March 4th meeting and give you some time to chew on that.
Would you all be open to, if I did those front four and the two on, I guess that would be the south side?
I think the best solution is definitely to figure, I actually kind of loved what Katie said just then, referencing that this doesn't all have to be done at once. It's not one huge paycheck, just going straight to windows. Is there any scenario in which we can assign a different longevity to our approval, I know we can issue extensions, but should something happen and it not be you and us and whomever, is there any way in our initial approval that we can allow this to be done in phases or allow it to be done in, 5 years, like with the front to be done immediately or something like that? I mean, it's just a lot of dollars and cents to throw at something right off the bat unexpectedly.
If an applicant applies for an extension, how long does that typically last?
So we can do an administrative extension for 6 months, and then after that, the commission can do an extension for an additional year, so 2.5 years.
Okay.
There are a number of vinyl windows in the neighborhood that truthfully, I didn't feel like mine were that out of place.
Well, don't tell us which ones, or we're going to have to turn them
Well,
into.
they're in the
They're in the
application.
packet. He already told us.
No, I mean, they exist, but, they were either done without a CA or they most likely predate the designation as an HP neighborhood. So they're all over the place. I mean, you even sometimes see them in Mesta. They exist for sure. But I think we punt this to March 4th and try to think creatively and stretch our brains a little bit.
Does that work for you?
That works for me. In the meantime, like specifically, you just want me to get an estimate for the entirety of the.
I think look at replacement windows that would more closely approximate what your historic windows were that meet the guidelines. You can continue to work with staff on that, on finding some window products, and just kind of figure out what that would look like for you to do that.
Okay. That's fair. Do you have any contractors that you'd recommend that?
You should ask Marva.
Okay.
We can't give you specific
Yeah.
recommendations, but those two at the rear, they probably
Okay.
can.
Yeah.
And the only other thing to say, like, even given a 2-year time frame, I'm not sure financially if I could afford to replace all 26 windows. Just being realistic, practically speaking.
For sure, and I think that's why we're trying to find a compromise where it might just be the few most visible ones at the front.
Okay.
At which case, you might be able to do like, the front 4 first, and then a year and a half do 2 more on the side, or
Okay.
whatever
Yeah, I'm
it is.
open to that.
We want to help you find a compromise because we understand that windows are expensive and no one wants to buy them twice.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Yep. Do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? If there are none, do we have a motion to continue?
I will motion to continue HPCA 25-00145 to the March 4th meeting.
Okay, we've got a motion to continue. Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. That item has been continued. Thank you. Next up, HPCA-25-00146 at 2215 North Chartel Avenue. Katie, tell us about this project.
This is in Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application by Ken Fitzsimmons, task design by Dr. Leonardo and Margareta Baez for certificate of appropriateness to 1, renovate existing garage, including increase in footprint and addition of second story. And that should say elective. This is the first time the commission has seen this application. This property is on a corner lot that has been kind of configured in an unusual fashion as far as the property that's next to it. At one point in time, this house fronted on the cross street and now addresses off of Chartel. At one point in time, it is indicated to have been flats. So some evolution to the site here. The property has a very small garage that is directly off of the cross street there. It is smaller than what would be necessary to park a single car. The applicant has proposed to add on to that structure, keeping kind of the front portion of it where it's visible there at the street, and then extending back into the side and also going up to provide some usable, livable space within the garage, as well as more, actual garage space itself. So you do have a recommendation of continuance, as we've kind of talked about with some other garages here. The guidelines would say in this location that it needs to be a 1-story garage, that it needs to be no larger than 450 square feet. As staff has talked about with the applicant, this is an unusual property in a number of ways. They do have multifamily adjacent to them, and are trying to get creative with the site and with the yard space that they have in adding some usable, livable space to the property to house their family. And the applicant is present, so I'll let you take it from there.
Okay,
Hi.
please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, Ken Fitzsimmons, architect with Task Design.
Okay.
And one of the owners is here today, Dr. Baez. He'll come up in a minute. Yeah, Katie did a pretty good job of outlining what we're dealing with. It's a very unique site, very unique location. We keep saying if we had a typical interior lot with an alley access, this would have been relatively easy. But it's a very tough site in the sense that it's overall the lot size is not necessarily atypical compared to just square footage, but because it has such a deep setback on the sides and the front. Is it possible to see the site plan just to put put the existing and what we're proposing up there? Because that's really driving it all is the site. We looked at multiple versions of what we could do here. We looked at a lot of one-story options, but it would have eaten up so much backyard that it definitely would have blown away the 450 square foot. I mean, I know we're already over that, but it would have been, double that. So we were trying to save as much yard as possible, keep it usable. There's a very large tree in the corner that we didn't want to encroach upon and get too close to and potentially damage the roots and have to take down such a beautiful tree. So that's really the reason we're pushing it, we're proposing to go up. And we're trying to keep the existing feel of it by working with the front gable, leaving the front gable of the garage and the west wall. Those are the two that are visible from the street because the fence conceals the existing garage otherwise. So in our minds, it was a way to basically keep the old garage there, but add an addition behind the front line there and go up with it. There's several things we could talk about, and I think Dr. Baez will about the location being so unique. But overall, that's the big idea is we're just trying to get them a home for their grandson he can also speak to that, who's gonna be living here. He lives in the house with them now and, older or almost a young adult living with grandparents. They could all use a little space on their own. So that's really the primary reason for this.
Thank you. Commissioners, what comments or questions do you have for the applicant on this item?
I had two big questions. First one was, do you want to act, is the goal, well, of course it's the goal, is the priority on parking or living, or is it 50-50?
I would say, it's all of it. Do you want to come on up?
Yeah. Just tell us who you are and where you live.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Leonardo Baez, live 2215 North Chartel. I'm a veterinarian here in Oklahoma City. And like he said, this is going to be our last home. My wife and I, I'm hopefully going to try to retire in the next couple of years. God gave us an extra gift, so we have our grandson living with us, Lux, and he's 6'4". He's like this big, and he's a teenager. So the house, we lived there about 10 years ago, and the house is right on the corner. I mean, this morning, if I can show you a picture.
Well, would that be new material? We can't accept new material?
If it's just a photo,
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got up a couple of days ago, got up and walked into my front porch, and I thought, well, my neighbor's gonna mind if we do something like this, if you give us the grace to approve this. And on my east porch, we have a line of Section 8 apartments. So I didn't think if you guys want to look at it. I couldn't get a hold of anybody there.
That's directly across Chartel?
Right.
In front of the house, and that's on the north side.
It's a Char 20.
When we can hear the music from Gayutis from our house, we're right really outside there. So I couldn't get anybody to say if this was okay or not. So the main reason is to have a place for my teenage grandson. It looks like he's going to be with us for a long time. And then my wife can't park her car because the garage is just too small. I guess they just have smaller cars. And safety, you know, I would like for her to be able to pull in and get out of the car inside the property. In the last couple of months, we had 2 people sleeping in our porch. We're right outside Mesta, so safety reasons is one, and of course, you know, to have our grandkid stay there. It's a beautiful design. We're lucky enough to get Ken to do it. And my main concern, of course, it wasn't comply with you, but the next one was to look nice, you know, and to be according to what we did several projects in Mesta, and we always do all the guidelines because we love this committee. But in this particular case, you know, what would it look like? And if you see it, it's really, really nice. It matches with the house. It's not right up front, you know, like many other ones around Mesta Park have their garage apartments. This one is back there, and it's half, you know. So it would be great if my grandson can stay there, and the house only has 2 bedrooms, you know, and I snore, so so there.
I want to make good use of our time. Commissioners, what questions do you have on the design? Because it looks like right now staff's recommending a continuance on this. So we're just going to want to know if you've got any concerns that you can voice to the applicant or
Yeah, my second question was going to be, and I just want to understand goals and what we could do to work with those. Did y'all want to keep the original facade to appease this commission and say like, hey, we're really just adding on, or is it a true goal?
As far as the facade, as far as keeping the north and the west, I believe in trying to keep historical properties when you can, keep pieces of it. And that was the reason that actually the siding we were proposing intentionally to be a little bit taller than the original. So there's a distinction between old and new, but the roof line, the fascia details and all that would match. So the idea is to try to still hang on to a bit of the old visually, but also make the new blend in, but not make it an exact replica, or try to attempt that.
Okay, so I kind of want to unpack this in reverse. Katie, if somebody came to us with this size garage and they just wanted a 200, they wanted a 450 square foot 2-car garage, but it's not in bad shape, what would we do?
So the guidelines support replacement. One of the justifications for demolition of a garage is that it is not large enough to accommodate parking a single vehicle. And I think this one is right on that edge of being too small to accommodate a single vehicle. So I think that the case could reasonably be made for justification to demolish the existing garage, and then per the guidelines, they would be allowed to build back 450 square feet, 1 or 1.5 stories. I was just going to, staff really struggled with this one because it's a unique design. We don't see proposals like this. It's not a typical form for the garage. We really appreciated the effort to preserve at least elements of the historic garage, something that I don't know that I fully did, or we wrote these staff reports before Christmas. It feels like it's been a year and a half since we wrote these, so this was not immediately in my brain, but really the footprint of what they are proposing is right at 450. They're not going over dramatically they're not going over at all on what would be permitted for a footprint. And which then kind of leads me to, would the form of a 1.5 story garage, which would perhaps accomplish the same thing, be preferable, be more appropriate, be more compatible than what they've proposed here, where they're keeping the front elevation of the historic garage and then setting a hip roof back beyond it. And just from staff's experience with some of the 1.5 story garages we've seen that don't really look typical of the historic condition, I could be convinced that this is the more appropriate path, and is kind of one and the same. But I'm not on the commission. I just wanted to communicate that.
So in that scenario, the special circumstance to allow a two-story garage when it would not normally be allowed would be the fact that there is the ability to retain historic features and the existing garage is not large enough to accommodate a single vehicle.
Yeah, and I think too that they are not using the entire footprint for a second story. That second story starts further back from the
still a
front wall of the
1.5-story garage.
True.
That's
I mean, I'm
It's
sure
actually
it's
really
more
funny.
square footage on that upper floor than what they could get with a 1.5, but it's
So does that
So
interest
1
you at all to
3/4.
just kind of, if we were talking about doing a new build 450 square foot, 1.5-story garage, which as you saw earlier on the docket, they can, you can still get a substantial amount of room up there, especially if you're just talking like some extra living space. Because I think seems pretty doable per the guidelines as well to get a new 450 square foot, 1.5-story.
Yeah, the only concern I would have about that, when we start talking about the 1.5-story, I heard you say 3-foot wall on the exterior wall. That would be kind of the max.
Yes.
The concern we have is his
The height of his grandson, yeah.
There's no way. He
What
would
would
be
that-
hitting his head constantly, so that would be
Yeah, I
the
mean,
one.
what would that give you an interior
We dropped
full
it
head
down to
height?
7 feet, just to note that. We dropped it down to 7 feet with that in mind, trying to smush it as much, most ceilings are 8 feet, start at 8 feet, so we
Yeah.
brought it down a little bit.
That was the other comment I was going to make, is that what they're proposing is right at 20 feet, which is significantly shorter than most two-story garages we see and shorter than a lot of the 1.5-story garages we see, including the one that we just approved. So just from a concern about height and massing and form and proportion, yes, it reads as a two-story. It technically is a two-story, but in some ways it's kind of comparable to what we would get with a 1.5.
Yeah, I'm on board with it as it is, and it feels secondary to the primary structure. With it being set back, at street level, it's not going to feel the same way as it would as if it was up on the street. Even if it was 1.5-story, that would feel taller than as they've proposed it. So, I mean, as long as they're okay with some of the conditions, like not using vinyl windows and the right kind of siding, then I could be okay with what's proposed.
I think it's an unusual circumstance and an unusual location, and that there's plenty of justification for it as designed.
It's a very transitional area where we probably do see some more allowances for height in general.
I do want to add that we do have comments from the neighborhood on this one. I do believe that you can see those referenced in there. Do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? There being none, commissioners, any last questions or comments, or do we have a motion?
We have no new conditions or anything, right? Just what's in the staff report?
There are
condition
no
that they would
conditions
need
in the
to-
staff report because it was a continuance, but yeah,
Yes,
ones
rather
for the windows and the materials.
The findings, okay. Okay, so for HPCA 25-00146, I move to approve item 1 with the conditions that, hang tight. Sorry, I need to find the conditions. Okay.
Well, I guess there's really just specific findings.
Right,
I
I
think
was
you need to
looking
add
for the specific
conditions.
findings to cite as conditions, but for some reason I can't find them.
Do you want me to share my screen?
Sure, that would be great. Oh, way up here. Okay, sorry, I was looking towards the bottom. Okay, with the condition that the materials are submitted to staff to make sure they're compatible with the guidelines regarding the siding and the windows and garage and pedestrian doors.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve with
Do
conditions.
we need a unique circumstance?
Yes, I think what I see as a unique circumstance is that the garage is comparable to a 450 square foot, 1.5-story garage that would be permitted if it was being reviewed as an entirely new construction project.
With the unique circumstance as just described by Katie.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve with conditions and unique circumstance. Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. That item has been approved with conditions and unique circumstances.
very much.
Thank you. Next up, we have HPCA-25-00148 at 120 Northwest 27th Street. Katie, tell us about this project.
This is in Jefferson Park, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application by Brady Smith, BMS Homes LLC for Mitesh Patel, Parwati Investments LLC for certificate of appropriateness to 1, develop site and construct building elective, 2, install paving elective, 3, install mechanical equipment elective, 4, install fence elective, and 5, request recommendation to the Board of Adjustment for variances related to building height, number of stories, lot width, and size. This is an application that actually was before the commission several years ago and was approved, just about the same as what you have in front of you now. That approval has since expired.
I'm sorry, if you could be quiet in the back. I'm so sorry, we're having a hard time hearing up here.
Sorry, guys. That approval has expired. We also noted in kind of re-reviewing this when the applicant came back to us to try to get the approval again, that there were some variances needed that were not sought previously. They didn't receive those variances previously, and they weren't really fully addressed by the commission. So this is back before you to review a second time with a request for recommendations on those variances. And I think staff has recommended approval with kind of some wiggle room for conditions should the commission want to see any changes to the design. It is this is in an area that's zoned R4, and they are proposing 3 units, which the zoning allows 3 units, but it limits them in lot width and lot size, and also limits the height because they're within an HL neighborhood. And we've seen some of those barriers previously to constructing this kind of smaller scale multifamily in our neighborhoods where they're zoned to presumably allow multifamily. So, and yeah, so we did recommend approval with conditions for each of the items.
Okay, thank you. I'm assuming you're the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Brady Smith, BMS Homes, 5409 Heidelberg Drive, Mustang.
Okay, thank you. And tell us about the project.
Yeah, so just a triplex we're trying to build, of course. That's roughly 4,600 square feet. Not a whole lot to it. We basically tried to design to, with the conformity of what HP is standing. So we're just hopeful that this is going to get passed. I will say, like she said, or Katie said, it's been passed once before. I since picked it up and addressed any comments around there that you guys had previously. So basically, this is the 3rd iteration that I've gone through and just kind of made sure that we're addressing everything that you guys had on there. I also will say that I have since started the variance application with the city, so working with zoning, trying to see what we got to do there in order to get that passed, but it seems like it's very likely. So we're just hopeful that we get CA and get variance kind of simultaneously so we can move forward with the project.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, what questions or comments do you have on this project?
Have you reviewed the conditions that staff noted?
Yes, I've reviewed them. Not, I don't memorize everything, but I did review them.
I mean, it's all pretty minimal. I think this is a really nice design, contextually within the neighborhood, and I think it'll be a great infill project. So as long as you're doing everything on your side, variance-wise, I am more than okay with this.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, any other commissioners have comments or questions? Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? I see we don't have any comments on this one. Okay, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve HPCA-25-00148 with the specific findings and conditions noted in the staff report.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve with conditions. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes.
And then we also need a motion to provide a recommendation to Board of Adjustment, and that's in your staff report as well.
Okay, all the items but that one have been approved. Do we have a motion? I'm sorry, Kate, we need a recommendation.
Yep.
For the Board of Adjustments.
HPCA-25-00148, I make a recommendation for approval to the BOA.
Okay, we've got a recommendation of approval, Board of Adjustments. Do we have a second? We've got a second. Please cast your votes. Okay, that recommendation has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next up, we've got HPCA-25-00151 at 117 Northwest 14th Street. Katie, tell us about this project.
This is in Heritage Hills East, Ward 6, consideration and possible action on application by Jeremy Gardner, Gardner Studio for Brent Wall, Laud Studio, for certificate of appropriateness to 1, develop site, elective, 2, construct buildings, elective, and 3, install accessories, elective. This is a new application. This is on a vacant lot on the 100 block of 14th Street. It is directly next to the only remaining historic house on the block, and the design is approximates the look, the massing, the form of a historic house, but is modern in design and is intended to function as offices for Laud Studio. The applicant's present, so I'll let them tell you more in detail about the application, but we did recommend approval with just some minor conditions for clarification on some materials and that sort of thing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Sarah Hanna. My address is 413 Northwest 46th Street, and I'm here on behalf of Gardner Studio and Brent, who is our client. So as explained, this would be a commercial office space for Brent himself in the front building, and then there are plans to construct an accessory building in the rear. This property is zoned commercial and is a little bit tricky because it kind of falls adjacent to many residential properties. So we're sort of tasked with designing something that feels like it's in alignment with the character of the neighborhood, but also serves the functions and practicalities of a commercial use. So it was the intent of our client from the beginning to try and respect the character of that neighborhood and find alignments with the structures that are directly adjacent to this lot. So we have done that in the form of aligning floor heights and building heights as well as setbacks. As I understand it, there's maybe been other proposals for this site in the past and those setbacks weren't respected. So it's our intention to make sure that that's a big part of what is proposed today. We have also submitted some additional materials since the staff report came out that speaks to the conditions that are noted in that description. So additional product information has been provided, but we're willing to kind of continue to work on that with them as needed to help ensure that this gains an approval. So.
Okay, thank you for that. It does look like if we're understanding its staff recommendation is approval, and we do have comments from the neighborhood that you have met with the neighborhood, and they support approval on that. Commissioners, what questions or comments do you have for the applicant?
I have none.
There appears to be none. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this?
So I told Brent I was going to stand up here and clap for him because we don't usually do this, but he has done everything that the committee's asked for. He's shown up for meetings, he's asked for input, he's wanted to honor the setback of the historic house on that block, which is something that we've been fighting for with other potential developers, and so we're very excited about this project, and he and Tracy are well-respected members of our community, and we're very pleased that he wants to locate his office in the neighborhood. So I will actually clap if you want me to, but
Yeah, would you? Yeah, we'd like to see it.
Marvin, thank you.
Brent's going to turn so red.
Okay, appears there's no other comments. Commissioners, do we have a motion?
I assume you're fine with the conditions in here? Yeah? Okay. I will happily motion to approve HPCA 25-00151 with the conditions noted in the staff report, the agreed upon conditions.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve with agreed upon conditions of the staff report. Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a second. Commissioners, please cast your vote. Okay, that item has been approved with additional applause from Marva. So
Congratulations.
great job, everybody. Okay, our last item for individual consideration, HPCA-25-0152 at 901 Northwest 16th Street. Katie, tell us about this project.
This is Mesta Park, Ward 6, consideration and possible action on application by Christopher Beard for certificate of appropriateness to 1, replace fence elective, and 2, replace trellis elective. This is recommended for approval with just some conditions to clarify or confirm information on dimensions and the site plan. And it is an existing fence and trellis, and they are, I think, modifying the design, but essentially going back in the same location.
Okay, I'm guessing the applicant is not present today.
Does not appear to be.
Okay,
I mean, I think we could still move for approval with the conditions and everything, and if he has an issue with it, then it'll come back before us. Fencing.
Yep.
okay. Any members of the public wish to speak on this?
Can I just, I've never seen this before. Condition item 1, number 2, that a revocable permit may be required.
That's just that the fence is, I think, in some locations over the property line. They don't need to do anything else with us, and we have many, many fences that are over the property line. It's just kind of to call attention to it for
Okay.
the applicant mostly. That
I've just never seen that, so I was curious.
Does that fence exist?
It appears to be in construction in this photo.
It's your lucky day today. I guess you've noticed that. I was noticed on 3 of the cases because we have property in proximity to them, and this is one of them. And we're across the alley a little bit from this one. And I used to think there was a flower bed along that sidewalk, but maybe I made that up.
At least not
There
for
is
the
in
past
front of
5
the
or 6
house.
years. I mean, if there was it was pre-Lauren who lived there before these guys.
Well, you know, that was where Cara Parent lived before she bought Captain Coley's house. But I don't remember it being quite that close, but maybe it is.
Well, I mean, based on where those trees are, it kind of has to have always been that way or way inside. But I don't know, I sold these guys this house like a year ago, and it was definitely like that a year ago. I don't know prior.
I don't have any objections to it. I just remembered it not quite, I remembered it a little taller and not quite on top of the sidewalk, but I might be mistaken.
There,
Is that 6?
very, very sharp, pointy.
There's no
Yeah.
36 inches.
And it was pretty close.
Yeah,
Almost.
I don't think there's a,
Oh, it had a top rail on it, and that was the difference. It wasn't,
It wasn't that scallop.
Immediately
Scallopy.
prior to this, or?
yeah. You want to see?
I've got a Google Street View from 2022, if that's,
Okay,
but it was on the
but
sidewalk.
it was on
though.
the sidewalk,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
okay.
I don't know that I care.
I probably prefer the way it is proposed versus this. I hadn't really recalled it that way, but that one looks more like like a gate versus a picket fence, so I would be.
Hey, commissioners, any comments on this one, or do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll
May
make
I
a
ask a
motion.
question?
Oh,
Yeah.
Because this is in place at this time, and I wasn't aware of that until later, we're looking at a fence that is not painted, but it is still a typical picket fence,
to be
which were
painted?
generally painted. That's my impression, but is that a requirement?
I don't know if we can make it one per the guidelines. I would certainly prefer it, but I don't know. I don't think there's anything in there that necessarily.
We do have language in the guidelines that says wood that would historically have been painted should be painted unless there is evidence that it was stained. And that we reference that sometimes with siding and garage doors and things like that. So I think you could
add the condition.
add the condition that it should be painted. Because I agree, I think historically when you have fences of that style, they would have been painted wood. And if the applicant's not comfortable with that, we can come back.
Okay.
Well, then I will make a motion to approve PCA 25-00152 with the specific findings, conditions, and unique circumstances noted in the staff report, along with the addition that the fence be painted.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve with conditions. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we've got a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Okay, that item has been approved. Okay, that ends cases for individual consideration. Next up, other business. We have none. Takes us to communications and reports. Administrative approvals. Katie, anything to say on that?
Nothing to report out. As always, if you see something on here that you have questions about, feel free to reach out to staff. We're happy to tell you more information, and they're all attached there in the PrimeGov packet for you.
Okay, it looks like we have one withdrawal.
One withdrawal, they were able to replace the chimney or to repair the chimney and not remove it on this one. So they did not have to get a CA.
It's a happy ending.
Yes.
Any administrative closings?
No closings, nothing to report from City Council or Board of Adjustment or Planning Commission at this time.
Okay, and we did note in the agenda of Rita's retirement. She'll be missed.
Yep.
So,
Also, it's very her to sneak out, I feel like.
yeah.
Very,
Yeah,
very.
not
So
even
doesn't
say
want
bye.
any fanfare, but I would have liked to give it to her.
Hopefully she's still watching because she misses us.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, I'm sure she's home watching.
Rita, if you're watching,
I'm sure she's tuned in.
From a different time zone.
Okay, the next regularly scheduled meeting for the Historic Preservation Commission is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026 at 2 p.m. at the Municipal Building, City Council Chambers. New applications for that meeting were received January 6th, 2026. New information on projects continued from today's meeting to the upcoming meeting must be submitted to staff by 4 p.m. Tuesday, January 13th. The next regularly scheduled workshop for the Historic Preservation Commission is Wednesday, February 11th, 2026 from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the large personnel basement conference room at 420 West Main Street. Are there any items from commissioners?
I just was going to ask if we had heard anything further on getting a ninth.
I mean, God, it's been almost 2 years now.
Yeah, we have not.
Has it been? I thought maybe
he
more than
retired
that.
in
I thought it
March.
was like.
It was March 2024.
Oh, I was thinking 23. So
I have nothing to report. We do continue to regularly touch base on that, though.
Our quorum is very concerning, and I would love to do anything we could to facilitate getting another commissioner.
Do we have any citizens to be heard? There being none, we will adjourn at 4:07.